Raila Odinga today launched his African Union chairperson bid alongside Musalia Mudavadi. What shocked many Kenyans is the presence of Pauline Njoroge in the team that is going to spearhead Raila Odinga's campaign in the continent. We may not be supporting Raila Odinga's political moves locally. And lately the decision to form that gentleman agreement government with William Ruto. But of course, that is at the local level. The ambition by Raila Odinga to become the new chairperson of African Union is something that is beyond Kenya, and he might have made his blunders home. The only problem, if Raila Odinga is going to export the same leadership style at ODM and at the political local level here to the continental stage, that would only be the worry. But the ambition, the goal, the dream, a man must always dream. And of course, he's also had his best stint in the country. I think he's exhausted his stint in Kenya. In an attempt to get it out there in the continent, just needs nothing apart from the support. And so we support the candidature of Raila Odinga for AUC. But what I must call out is political hypocrisy. And Raila Odinga must ensure that the campaign messaging is given prominence in the continent. Kenya is in the radar of many other global economies in the world. William Ruto clearly might have fell out with the US just in the wake of these protests, because the US have been asking that the police officer who shot Gen Zs should at least be presented in court. And there's so many other factors. Even the legitimacy back home is a big problem. His mobility across the continent is a bit limited. The president is normally still insecure of moving around. So how I wish that the team where my friend Pauline Njoroge is part of, and that team would concentrate and work on a very well elaborate messaging and campaign for Raila Odinga. I saw the presence of Pauline Njoroge in that team, and she will be, what I've reliably been informed is she will be in charge of communications and diplomatic pitches across the continent. But then, I also like the fact that someone has also gotten an opportunity. You know, yeah, as a student of IR, so we should not, that's also a good opportunity for Pauline Njoroge. And I think the decision to pick her is top-notch. If there is something we must accept, Kenya Kwanza doesn't have competent communication experts on matters international diplomacy. We have been doing bad, and this did not even start today. We've been doing bad. In fact, Uhuru did better. On that end, Uhuru did better than Ruto. Yes, for the 10 years, Uhuru was better. Kenyan team, when the president was in US, the people that were supposed to furnish the journalists back in the country with information were just simply looking for photos and sharing photos and captions and asking Kenyans to caption photos. And they did not communicate really well on the president's ambition. And of course, William Ruto's trip to the US exposed Kenya on that end. I like really the speech that Raila gave, despite of an attempt by the journalists to be more trivial on his end. to try to push him to explain many other factors, the local factors, trying to link local factors with that. I wish the president goes global. The president speaks, if he's to campaign for Raila Odinga, no one is campaigning for Raila Odinga here. The campaign for Raila Odinga at the 54 countries. I think this speech by Raila was good.
You can see Caroline Karugu, the former deputy governor in Nyeri County, and you have Pauline Njoroge, and then you have got Ambassador Elkanah Odembo, you have Ambassador Mahbub, and Mr. Okara. This is a part of my team for this AU campaign.
Thank you. Okay.
Happy to see that today the African Union has come of age from the ashes of the Organization of African Unity. But the African Union needs to be strengthened for it to be able to enable African countries to realize the dream of the founding fathers of our continent. A united, peaceful, and prosperous Africa, where the citizens themselves feel that they are free as a people and united and can work productively in the continent. There are several areas where Africa is having a problem. Issues of health, issues of education, issues of wealth creation, employment in the continent is a major issue. As you know that many young African boys drown in the Mediterranean as they try to run away from the poverty and other challenges in the continent, seeking greener pastures in Europe. This does not have to happen. If we create conducive and enabling environment for these people to be more gainfully employed on the continent of Africa. The issue of climate change is a major challenge. Africa is a victim rather than the main offender. But Africa at the moment pays a very heavy price. As you can see here in our own country, we live between twin disasters, floods and drought. Many of our people perish, livestock die in those periods. How do we arrest this phenomenon? How can we make a contribution? And how can we also negotiate more effectively for compensation from the offenders who have continued to discharge the carbon monoxide in the atmosphere? We need a stronger voice. As individual countries, Africa is weak. But as one united Africa, we can have a much stronger voice to be able to negotiate more effectively for compensation. Energy is another major issue here. And most African countries suffer from energy deficiency. Yes, Africa itself has got an abundance of resources for renewable energy. We have a lot of solar energy potential on the continent. We have geothermal, we have wind, we have waves, we have hydro in large quantities, which we all need to harness to make Africa energy self-sufficient. So there's many things which you will intend to deal with when we go up there. So I am a candidate, as I mentioned, and I'm happy that the Kenya government has come forward to make him a formal candidate. As you have already told, we have already submitted our application as required by the AU, the Secretariat. And from now on, it is all systems go. So we will be addressing other issues as we move forward. But I want to thank the leadership of the continent who expressed confidence, and also the people of our country, Kenya.
Now, what we must call out is political blackmail. We know very well, and I wish the campaigners of Raila Odinga tried to delink Raila, the handshake man, Raila, the broad-based man, and Raila, the AUC chairperson candidate. I wish we tried to create, it's difficult, but at least we try. The political blackmail by Kenya Kwanza is, according to me, far-fetched, and they have gone a bit too far. Raila reached an agreement with Ruto for 4 members and 4 members of ODM and 4 members of his ODM friends. ODM is huge. He picked his friends from ODM to join government. And the Kenya Kwanza is laying down a strategy, a message that Raila Odinga have solved the Kenyan problem, so he's going to solve the African problem. Probably not bad. But there is a call for unity, that the country, that everything now needs to stop so that the country can unite around Raila Odinga. Is it bad for the country to unite around Raila Odinga? It is not bad. In fact, the best we should do is to wish them the best and moral support. Our unity is just a moral support. But the country cannot be emotionally whipped that Raila Odinga's AUC bid is the only thing, is the best thing that shall have happened to this country, Kenya. It shall have happened to Raila Odinga. And of course, we are also saying that Kenya Kwanza is hijacking the fact that Raila is leaving, is exiting the political space. And today he made that announcement that he will cleverly and clearly retire from active politics.
Your intentions to go for the African Union Commission chairperson seat, and you said your first priority is your home country, to stabilize the country politically. Do you think you're giving the continent an impression that you are still and who is still bogged down by the politics?
Well, you know that I'm going to begin to work for the continent once I'm elected. That's going to be in February next year. At the moment, I'm involved in the campaign, but that does not mean that Kenya ceases to exist. I'm not going to be very active in Kenyan politics henceforth.
Especially in the country. And I think that retirement, if he gets the AUC bid, it is the best. It will be the best political exit for Raila Odinga. As he announces political, I want you to listen to that video. He said that. He was asked that question. I think he said that here. So you'll have to relinquish the political activities in the country. The short retirement, why do you think that short retirement is needed? I want to answer the question of the retirement of Raila Odinga from active politics. That is what is the gist of many. And so, but before that, I just want to first debunk that notion of unity. That unity thing is being crafted, and it's a strategy Raila Odinga, William Ruto team are crafting so that they can take over Raila. You know, yes, you're united around Raila, but Raila is going, and so William Ruto is even supposed to launch Raila's bid on 27th August. So it's just another strategy to whip emotions so that the country can go around Raila, because they believe that Raila has that attraction. And so the truth of the matter, and this is the gospel truth, the unity of this country is not what can deliver Raila's votes in February, where the voting will be going on in Ethiopia. In fact, instead of talking about the unity in Kenya, President should be talking about the unity in Eastern Africa. Because for the first time, the Eastern African has the Eastern, not East Africa, Eastern, the East part of Africa, they've been given leeway to present at least a candidate, that the chairman must come from that region. Already they have that leeway, that for the first time they can be able to produce a candidate and even produce the winner exclusively. So, the other reason is, it's just a diversionary tactic, on these taxation bills, because what the president or what the country is talking about is about taxation. The country has been telling the president, Mr. President, you are overtaxing us. The country has been talking about that. And the other objective here is a scheme to take Raila's campaign, Raila's bid to rallies. William Ruto will be going to Nyanza, I think, if it is not next week, then it will be early September. So he also wants to take that to Nyanza, tell them that, I've helped Raila, I'm campaigning there for this and that. So there is that strategy. But then, the other thing is the fights within Azimio to try to quell the tension around it, because they are also, Azimio is splitting. And so Raila is going with some part, and there is another shell that is going with Kalonzo, some significant part, of course not a shell, some significant numbers, quite significant numbers going with Kalonzo and Eugene Wamalwa. So I saw my friend Lee saying that Raila is crafting a rerun, a re-election, a presidential bid in 2027. So it's part of the scheme to split Azimio, then form another alliance, and then find yourself in the ballot. Okay. Now I want to look at this critically, that the issue of the retirement of Raila Odinga. Why William Ruto circles are vouching for that exit, and to that effect they will try to put their best foot forward, especially between now and February. One thing they want to ensure the new cabinet that was formed, the Mbadi, Joho, Oparanya and Wandai, are out of Raila's circle. Now that is critically important, because the moment they're out of Raila's circle, William Ruto will be able to remote control. And they will feel insecure, because the moment you feel insecure in government, that is the time that your loyalty is going to be at its best. So to ensure, and this is what William Ruto is looking at, to ensure very well that the team, the John Mbadis, are going to be loyal in his cabinet, he must vouch for that retirement of Raila Odinga. And so Raila Odinga announcing that retirement of exiting the political space is a blessing in disguise for William Samoei Arap Ruto. The second thing that I can tell you Ruto is vouching for is to suppress political realignments, and especially looking at what's happening even at ODM party and Azimio la Umoja. Political realignments, Raila Odinga is the big house, is a big machine on coalition building. Azimio la Umoja is collapsing, is disintegrating. I'm even seeing Kalonzo Musyoka talking about that coalition. I'm like, what's Kalonzo talking about? Kalonzo should think about something else. Should lock himself in a room and think about what he's going to do, which coalition, which direction, and don't do the contemporary way of looking for political parties. If you can form coalition with trade unions, form with the Gen Zs, form with the university students, so I think that is the direction that they should think around, instead of looking for who is political party to form a coalition agreement with. Now, of course, you can form political parties for the sake of legality, but you need coalition with Kenyan people. So, or coalition agreements with Kenyan people. So, that is the second thing. The coalition building momentum to go down, to collapse. The moment that is done, it is going really to be there. The other third thing is the moment Raila exits the space, William Ruto will control parliament like his remote. All those ODM MPs, I'm telling you, all those ODM MPs will be worshipping William Ruto. And because now as we speak, there are so many issues about budget that William Ruto is grappling with, and he will probably want to find his way and tweak issues around that. And lastly, I think with Raila exiting the political space, he will be able to run the globalist agenda without any question. Yes, the US, these global economies, they will really vouch for Raila Odinga to exit the space, because Kenya is their gateway to Africa, their gateway to East Africa. And if there will be someone the caliber of Raila Odinga that will be questioning them, that is something they look into. And so, clearly, one of the things that will also happen is they will run the globalist agenda without question. Lastly, I think with Raila out of the space, the Gen Zs will now lack where to. Because there have been a probability that Gen Zs are aligned towards opposition. So if Raila exits the space, they are not into it. And probably, according to me, that is why William Ruto is vouching for Raila Odinga's retirement from active politics. Thank you.